Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my music name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out my How I Became a Targeted Individual videos. I have 3 of them posted at the moment. Actually, more than 3, but the 3 that I typically direct new people that come to my channel to are my How I Became a Targeted Individual full story. Let me slide down real quick and show y'all. And that's the 11-hour and change video. I know that looks long, y'all. It's a 7-part video compilation. So it's not meant to be watched in one sitting. And in that video, I just give my full story, y'all, from my early 20s up until now, age 31. Just telling you all the things I've been through for the last decade and the things that led up to my targeting. So it's a very comprehensive video collection that I put together. So if you have the time, please sit and watch. You don't have to watch it in one sitting. In fact, it would be unreasonable to think that you would. And then the summary video is basically me telling the same story without the extra details. So I negate a lot of the details that I included in my full story. Did not mean to click on the screen. Sorry about that, guys. And then the third video that I typically will direct new people to is a video that I just posted 2 weeks ago. And it's called Commentating over clip from my story that shares how I became targeted. And as you can see, it's a thumbnail from my full story. And what that is literally a clip that I recorded from my full story. So I went through all the content and I went to the video clip that specifically talked about my targeting and what started it. And then I also provided some commentary over certain parts of the clip. So out of all 3, I would obviously recommend you watch the full story. But if you don't have the time, I'd recommend you watch the commentating over a clip more than the summary because they're about the same length. The commentating over a clip is about 30 minutes longer and it includes more details. So that's what I would recommend you watch if you're not going to watch the full story. Anyway, guys, welcome back. Welcome. I know I said that the next video that I post will hopefully be a workout video, just letting y'all see what my progress is. Because I've been working out vigorously for the last 3 months, almost like boot camp level workouts or military level workouts, just trying to get my health, back to a place that I'm comfortable with. And then also just trying to build my body up after some of the things that happened a few months ago, that I've talked about in my prior videos. And if you're new, you're going to have to check out my videos to know what I'm talking about. But I just been working out vigorously and, taking care of my body. I was taking protein and creatine for about a month and a half before it ran out. So right now, at the point I'm at right now, I don't have any more. Still trying to currently actively get a job. Still waiting to hear back from this job that I started the hiring process with. So at the moment, funds are tight, not to use that word. If you've seen my prior videos, you'll know that that's stimuli. But funds are kind of tight right now. So I'm not able to get the amount of protein needed to put the mass on that I'm trying to put on. But I am eating, I'm eating a decent amount, 3 square meals a day, sometimes more. So even though I'm not getting the amount of protein I need to put on the mass that I'm trying to put on, I am building. I'm seeing the difference in my legs. Like my legs look crazy right now. So I've been working out and, seeing results. So the next video that I post for real will be, a video with me on camera letting y'all see where I'm at right now. And then it's not totally a before because this is not like right before starting working out. Like I said, it's been about 3 months of me working out, but still kind of like a before video because I'm nowhere near where I want to be, what my fitness goals are or the aesthetic that I'm going for. So I'll do this video and then come back a few months later, the most I spares my life, and then show y'all what's going on. Hopefully once I can get my hands on some protein and some more creatine. But regardless of not having those extra things, I still have been working out consistently and I'm seeing results. So you guys will see a future video about that. And I, as I said in my prior videos, and I mean it, I'm not going to keep saying this redundantly, guys, because obviously things keep happening and I keep having to document. So I'm not going to keep repeating the same thing. But the intent and my intention is to not post as much about the targeted individual stuff. Like I said, I'll post when I have to document something, or if I find out some new information that I think is pertinent enough to share. But for the most part, I'm trying to steer away from the targeted individual content. I've posted more than enough videos about that. I've posted so much information for targets about the technology used, the tactics used, countermeasures you can use to defend and protect yourself, documentation, evidence, my story, my full story, everything that I would need to defend myself, basically. I've already refuted everything. It's to the point where they got so desperate, like I told y'all in my last video, the targeted individual neuromonitoring info and documentation video. I talked about what they did in the video before that, the discussing the agenda of the targeted individual program. Those two videos you see at the top of the screen. That agenda video, they got so desperate because I'm refuting all of their tactics and the false narratives that they keep trying to paint, that they literally struck my video down for a bogus reason. And so when I appealed it, they had to put the video back up. But I deleted the initial video and I kept that video up where I was able to show you all that they struck my video down for a bogus reason. So, sorry about that, y'all. Somebody knocked on my door, and thank God I have the pause button available this time. Kind of made that a thing now, making sure that the pause button is available, because as I told y'all, I forgot which video I talked about that in. One of these recent videos. Sometimes interruptions happen and I'm not able to pause the video because this orange button that I'm moving around on the screen isn't available. It's not always available. So sometimes the app allows me to have it and I can, as you can see, open it up and press pause. And then sometimes it's not available. And so it's just like a headache for me when my videos get interrupted because I have to cut the video, and it's just a process that I have to go through. And most of the video merger apps don't work on my phone, I believe, because the security of my phone is compromised. I've talked about that in prior videos too. So I believe it's intentional why those merger apps don't work for me. I don't want to bear false witness. I don't know what's really going on, but my phone is hacked and compromised. So those merger apps don't work for me. So typically when I have to merge videos together, I literally have to, the same screen recording that I'm using now to make this video, I have to use it and record the two clips that I'm trying to put together. Basically like what I did with the last video, the targeted individual neuromonitoring info, a documentation video. By the way, check that video out if you haven't, because I give good info in that video as well. The last 3 videos I've posted, the last 4 videos I've posted, have given good information. In particularly the evidence of mind control technology used on targeted individuals, where you see the brain as the thumbnail and the chip. I give a lot of good info in that video. Documentation, evidence, patents included in that video, just to validify your experience as a target, so you don't feel like you're crazy or, you can't get gaslit about some of the things that are being done to you when you're targeted, because these things are real. And if you're not able to validify the things that are happening with evidence, then you can be successfully gaslit. That's one of the major tools used in this program, is gaslighting. Anyway, so like I said, guys, I've in these last few videos, I keep saying I'm trying to steer away from targeted individual content because I've posted more than enough. I've more than proven my case and my point. And not only that, I've provided, like I said, documentation, evidence, information for other targets. And so that's what my channel's about, really. It's not just about targeted individual information. Like I said, this is not a niche channel. So it's not about any specific content matter. But that is a large part of this channel. And one of the things I'm trying to do with this channel, not only defend and protect myself and have documentation for my own case and benefit, but then also trying to help other targets, because I empathize with you all and I know what it feels like. And I know what it feels like to be targeted and not know what the hell is going on. And then you realize you're targeted because, like I told y'all, I didn't realize I was a target until the end of last year, right? The end of 2022. And my targeting started in 2020, around June, July of 2020. So it took me years before I realized that I was even targeted. And then when I learned that I was targeted and I started doing research, there are things that I wish I had found out sooner, that just wasn't available for me. I had to do some real digging and research. It's just the kind of personality I have. And that's what allowed me to find out some of the things that I found out. There's a lot of things that I just am not seeing out there posted. And I think that's intentional too. I think certain videos and channels are shadow banned. I think my channel's shadow banned. I think I would have a lot more views if my channel wasn't compromised. But still, that's also part of why I do these videos, to help other targets that are going through what I'm going through. And then also too, just talk about Asperger's, ADD, and just a vlog in general, just this is just basically a vlog site about my life. Anyway, so this video is more documentation, and I'm rolling my eyes to the sky, guys, because I don't even feel like I should have to do this at this point. I've already proven what this technology can do. I've already proven how they program your brain by constantly pounding stimuli in your brain and then staring at you and making noise campaigns. They're microchip, by the way. You're not the only one microchip. So when you're hearing somebody in the background making noises and trying to get your attention incessantly, and it's like something's wrong with them, there is something wrong with them. They're microchipped. So they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. If you ask them, their eyes are probably gonna look blank as hell. They don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. So anyways, so this video is more documentation because it's just like, again, I left the house and I feel like I need to document just to protect my own self, because I know how the program works, and they take little bites of moments that happen and they run with it and create this big like false narrative, or they help it to propel whatever false narrative is already floating. And so for me, I've already proven that this is what they do. These are the tactics used in the program. Not only that, I've more than refuted every false narrative that's been used against me. But at the same time, I still know how the program works. And so for certain instances, when certain things happen, even though I've made videos talking about how this works, how they program your brain, how they're constantly pounding stimuli in your head, right? And I talk about the fact that it's similar to watching a Coca-Cola ad and then feeling like you need a Coke, it just pops in your head. Not only that, they actually have the technology to push shit in your head. So you never know if something's popping in your head because they're doing it, or your brain is programmed because they're constantly pounding it in your brain with the stimuli that they're perpetuating, right? So this is what's going on, and then they use that to propel these false narratives. And so this is why I kind of feel like I need to document right now, and I'm rolling my eyes because I'm like, this is so freaking redundant. I've done this already in several videos. I've talked about this already, but at the same time, defending myself and protecting myself and documenting and knocking down as soon as something's starting. It's almost like a cancer, this program. It's like a cancer that you just have to fight aggressively every day. It's like a freaking cancer is what it's like. And you're constantly having to like knock down these tumors that keep coming up. That's what it's like, basically. So this is what these videos are for me. So anyways, while I was out today, it really wasn't a bad day. It started out pretty good. First of all, I was feeling myself because I put on my little short pants and I was looking at my legs. And I was like, damn, it's looking good, because I've been working on, not to sound narcissistic, but I don't mind upping myself because they try to constantly come for your self-esteem in this program. And that's another tactic used where they try to tear you down constantly. And they come for the things that are good about you. Like, they don't even come for things that are really bad, like it's not even like they're trying to pick at things that are actually bad about you. They're literally trying to attack the good things about you. So that's when you know that they're literally trying to take down your self-esteem when that's being done. When you see somebody coming for something that is something that's good about you, they're trying to tear you down. They're trying to take your self-esteem down. They think that you're too high and mighty, or you think too highly of yourself. That's what it is. And so constantly they'll throw the word narcissist at you. And I can say at you and not just speak about my own specific targeting, because I realize that's one of the universal terms that they use on targets. There are certain things that are specific to whatever your targeting is. And then there are terms and tactics that are used on all targets across the board. And the narcissist terminology, I realized from doing my research that that's a term they throw at all targets. That's one of the things they throw at all targets, not just me. And so I realized that it's like psychological. It's, again, psychological warfare, because they're doing all of these different things to give you attention. They're purposely doing things to tear down your self-esteem. So of course, naturally, your defense is, well, it depends on what your personality is, really. Because some people, when that type of thing happens, they will get torn down and they will mush into a ball and they will start to believe the bullshit that's being thrown at them. But if you're a strong-minded person, right, or if you're somebody that has more of a strong will, and I'm not trying to come for anybody because this is a really intense program. So even if you're one of those people that really start to believe the shit that they do to tear you down, and you start to, lose your self-esteem because of the things they're doing, I'm not coming for you and saying you're weak. That's not what I'm saying. But everybody operates differently to trauma and to different things. And the kind of personality I have, I've always been a competitor, right? I'm an athletic female. I've always played sports in high school. And so for me, when somebody's coming at me and trying to tear me down or challenging me, it builds a fire in me and makes me want to challenge back. And it makes me actually more stronger. And so I don't know why they haven't learned that by now. They've been studying me for quite a while now. I don't know why they don't realize that when they do those things, that makes me more confident. They should realize that about me by now. And it actually is like fuel for me too. I love when they do bullshit right before a workout. I go ham in my workout when they do that. I love when they do bullshit right before my workout. Anyway, so I'm not narcissist. I never have been. I'm confident. There are two C's. There's cocky and then there's confident. And it's easy to get them confused. I am not a cocky person. I'm a confident person. I always have been despite being shy and introverted. But because of the things that they do in this program where they're literally programming you to be a narcissist because of the things that they're doing, they're programming you to be a narcissist. They're giving you all of this attention, using excessive manpower, and forget about the manpower. Let's not even talk about the use of the manpower, just excessive tactics while they're focusing in on you and their whole world is starting to revolve around you and everything is about you. How are you not going to be narcissistic? They are programming you to be a narcissist when they're giving you all of this unnecessary attention. And then also to coming for certain things about you to try to tear you down, things that you know are good about you. How could you not be a narcissist when they're doing stuff like that? How do they not realize that they're programming you to be a narcissist? Because obviously I'm going to now buck back and tell you that, you're trying to tell me that I don't look good when I go out, or you're trying to tell me I don't look good unless I have makeup on. That means that you think I look good. That's why you're saying that right now. That's why you're sending that music, because I got myself together. I put a little lipstick on. I shaded in my eyebrows. I put my hair together. I stepped out and I was looking nice and it bothered you. So you felt like you had to put a song on telling me that I don't look good unless I have makeup on. First of all, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I wear lipstick and I shade in my eyebrows. And second of all, thanks. That means you're looking at me and you think I look good. Second of all, you're coming for other things, like my music, for instance. You're trying to tell me that my music isn't my music. You're trying to tear that down. You're trying to make these false narratives. You think my music is the shit, pun intended. Thank you. You're coming with fake videos. This is another thing they're doing now, guys. They're sending me subliminal messaging about me putting on a fake voice. They're saying that I like I'm trying to have this manufactured sex appeal. Even when I'm looking for a movie, they're sending me movies about people. I'm trying to be like seductress, right? Or they sent me a movie with this science lab thing and it said sex appeal. Like I went in the lab and created my sex appeal. Like these are the things they're sending me. Like, it's bothering you that I'm sexy, obviously. Thanks. It's bothering you that I have sex appeal. It's bothering you that I'm confident. It's bothering you that I look nice when I leave the house. This is what you're showing me with the things that you're doing, trying to tear me down. It's like, for me, the way my mind works, I'm really good at reading between the lines, and what I can read is that you think I'm the shit, pun intended, and this is why you're coming for those things. And then they tried to come for my cooking last night. That's the one of the many good things about me. That's one of the things that you can't come for. I can cook. I've always been able to cook for years. That's one thing you cannot come for. They're trying to come for my cooking. Are you crazy? First of all, I clean my meat, right? I make sure that I use lemon and vinegar to clean my meat. I season my meat well. I know how to cook. I've been cooking for years. They're trying to come for my cooking last night. Like, it's just like all of these things that are good things about me, they're purposely trying to come for and tear down. It's just like I keep trying to avoid the H word. I keep trying to avoid the word hater or hating because they like to say I'm a narcissist. And I already know I'm aware of the fact that I use that term. I didn't use the word hater, but I did say I felt like my roommate was jealous of me. And I did because of some of the things that was happening in that friendship. I did. My sister even saw what was going on and she thought the same thing too. Right? So I did say that. I did say that about my roommate. So I'm like, I don't want to be this person that's like running around saying everybody's jealous, because I've never been that person. I'm a competitive female, and yes, I am a confident female, but I've never been the kind of person to say, you're a hater. I have haters. You know them people? Like, they'll be walking around saying, I have haters, and think everybody's a hater. I've never been that kind of person. I'm such a quiet, laid back person. I actually don't even notice when anybody's noticing me, to be quite real with you. But with the things they're doing, I can't help but say hater. These are like classic signs of hating. It's like classic hater signs, like the coming for my looks when I know I look good. Like, you coming for like these different things that I know are good about me. You're coming for my voice, telling me I'm putting on a fake voice, a manufactured voice, or I have manufactured sex appeal. Huh? Like, this is at this point. At this point now, I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. It's hating. At this point now, it's hating. And I'm not even a person that walks around and says I have haters. I said that about my best friend because of what was going on in that friendship. And my sister saw what was going on too. She's a witness, a credible source and a credible witness. But I'm not somebody that's ever walked around and thought people were hating on me. But ever since being targeted and this weird spotlight on me and this weird, situation that was created, it seems to me like hating is going on. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. It seems like hating. I'm just keeping it real. I'm not trying to sound narcissistic. They're creating me to be a narcissist or programming me to be a narcissist, but it feels like hating. That's what it feels like. Anyway, so this is documentation, guys, though. So having said that, that's what's going on though when you're targeted. It's like the spotlight is on you, and depending on what your personality is, you might really rub the gang stalkers the wrong way. They're already focused in on you anyways. It's this weird spiritual thing that's in the earth now, this targeting thing. It's been here for a while, but it's amping up, and I don't want to start throwing out conspiracy theories and my subjective viewpoints, but I do believe that this has something to do with revelations and the time that we're in, right? But I'm not going to go into details about that and what's going on in the earth right now. I'm not trying to, go down that rabbit hole. But I do feel like this is amping up in the earth because it's just some weird thing that's happening in the earth right now. And so they're focusing on certain people. And depending on your personality, it might depend on how that focus turns. And it's turning really like some haterade in my situation. It's turning into some real haterade in my situation. Anyway, so let me not go off on a tangent. It's not a tangent because it all connects what I'm saying. The fact that they're constantly focusing on you and you're aware of that. You're aware of the fact that they're focusing on you. You're aware of the fact that they're watching you and they're making noises and they're trying to tear you down constantly and they want to see you lose. And you're aware of that. In addition to the other tactics used, like them throwing stimuli in your head 24/7, programming you with certain narratives. And then also the fact that they can actually, if they want, push shit in your head. So these are the things that's happening when you're targeted, right? So it's very easy for them to frame a person or run with a narrative if they want to. If they want you to be guilty, it don't matter how innocent you are, you're guilty. That's how it works. That's how this program works. It's a very unfair, unconstitutional, immoral, unethical program. But anyways, I've more than proven my case in all of my videos. But I just wanted to document something that happened to me just now, right? A little while ago. This is what I'm leading up to say. So I left the house in a good mood. Like I said, I had put on my low shorts. I was looking at my legs. They were looking good. I've been working out, right? Despite not being able to build the mass I want because, like what I said at the beginning of the video, I don't have access to protein right now. Legs still looking real good, right? They're looking real toned and they're looking nice, right? And I had my little shirt on and I pulled my hair up, right? I was looking cute. And I was feeling myself. So I was in a good mood. I really was feeling myself. But it wasn't even about my external and how I looked. I was just in a good mood. I was happy to be getting the car, happy to be going to take care of business. I was trying to, I told you I'm not above anything right now. As a target, you have to do what you have to do to survive. And I've had food stamps in the past anyways, before being targeted. I had food stamps when I was in college. I'm not a bougie person. I'm not above getting help. And so I was getting food stamps when I was in college. And so I was trying to get it here now, with what I'm dealing with, not having access to money or anything like that. Still trying to get a job, So that's what I went out there to do. And I also went to get water for the house. And so when I went out there, I also stopped at Wendy's. Someone in my close circle asked me to get breakfast from Wendy's. So I don't have internet right now. My phone is cut. So whenever I get out there, I'm aware of the fact I'm being watched 24/7. So even though I'm getting kind of like desensitized, you don't ever get totally desensitized to what's happening. You just don't. You're never going to get comfortable or used to the feeling of hundreds and thousands, millions, however many of them, of people staring at you. You're never going to get used to that feeling, especially if you're not somebody that's a movie star or a reality TV star, somebody that's used to that type of attention. If you're a regular human being that's not asking for this type of attention, you're never going to get used to the feeling of having a bunch of eyes on you in your private spaces and your private moments. That's not ever something you're going to get used to, but you do start to get desensitized to it to a certain extent. So for me, as much as I'm a socially anxious person, I have somewhat started to get accustomed to the feeling of being watched. So I still have awkward moments, many awkward moments, and I still feel uncomfortable and I still feel drained as an introvert. Like I'm never getting that moment to charge up, that true charge up that all introverts need. I don't get those moments. So it's like I'm like running on E, basically, my battery, my internal battery, right? But I'm still pushing, and just because of the kind of person I am. But anyways, so you never get used to being watched, but you get desensitized to it to a certain extent, right? So you do start to kind of learn how to acclimate to what's happening, and you learn how to move with the weird situation, right? So I'm in the car and I can feel them all watching me. They're moving normal. Some days are worse than others. I don't know what causes it. Like I said in the prior video, this is not something that I can substantiate with evidence. This is just something that I read and I heard. And it's possible because what I've seen of the technology and the fact that they use these frequencies to neuromonitor and control the target with their technology, it would be more than possible for them to use frequencies to control populations of people. That's more than possible. But that's not something I can substantiate with evidence. That's just something I've read, that sometimes they can use frequencies to control the people around you. So sometimes you'll notice a certain energy and the people all doing the same thing on a certain day. That could be what's happening. But that's not something I'm going to say for sure is happening. Like I said, that's alleged. I cannot prove that. I can just prove that the technology exists. I can prove that I'm targeted, and I can prove that they do have the capability of doing something like that. But I don't know for sure that that's what they do. But for sure, they move, synchronically. These gang stalkers, they be moving synchronically. It's weird. I've heard many targets talk about their odd experiences when they even go to different cities. How the gang stalkers are moving synchronically. It's like so weird how quickly they sync and do the same things. So this is why it would be more than believable to think that, okay, maybe it's a frequency hitting right now that's causing this weird movement with all of them. But whatever it is, you're aware of the fact that you're being watched. So anytime I leave out, even if I feel like I'm looking cute or whatever, I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling anxious. I'm tapping the steering wheel. I'm doing these little subtle tactics to help me feel comfortable. But it's not like before where I'm sitting, like it's getting better, but it's still what it is. I'm still dealing with this weird shit. So I was driving when I got to the fast food restaurant. I'm sitting there in the line. It was a long line too. And I didn't have nothing to do because my phone is cut. So I'm just like, as usual, when I'm sitting there in these moments, like on the line, and I know I'm being stared at. And mind you, it's not just the people sitting on the line with me, but then the people in traffic are staring at me too. It's like they can't peel their eyes away. It's like a freaking telenovela. I keep saying that they can't peel their eyes away from. So you can feel their eyes on you. It's like it's almost like the military weaponry that exists that can be used on targets. It's like this intangible thing that exists that can, like it's similar to that. It's like you can feel their eyes on you, but it's like this intangible thing. But I can feel them watching me. It's this weird feeling. So I'm sitting on the line, right? And I'm trying to figure out what I could do so I'm not sitting there fidgeting and acting stupid. And so I start looking through my phone trying to figure out what can I do? What can I do? Because I'm sitting here feeling weird right now, as usual. So I'm just looking through my phone trying to figure out, because I don't really have anything that I can do on my phone that doesn't require internet. I tried to download some games that didn't require internet, and I wasn't feeling any of them. And also, too, they even somehow managed to hack that. Like those word or Sudoku games or whatever it is. Like I'll do those cross word search games, and as I'm sitting there with no internet, they've already programmed the game, to download bullshit, stimuli. So whatever words I'm looking up, it's all stimuli. So I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's just like, what the hell? So at this point, I decided to just download my books again. Because as I told y'all in several of my prior videos, I'm an avid reader. I love reading books. I love escaping into fantasy novels, romance novels, etc. And that's part of the reason why I knew that I had Asperger's. This is why I knew, whoa, messing up with my words. I'm sorry, I heard noise in the back. I'm hearing noise consistently. I know you probably hear that weird hammering sound that's been going on since I first started. But I literally heard like a car drive by and it made me start to stammer. Anyways, I'm an avid reader. And so that was one of the reasons why I knew I had Asperger's. Excuse me. So I have like a library of books on my Kindle. Actually, I had a box full of books when I lived in Tallahassee with my older sister. I literally have boxes and boxes of books. She and I were just talking about that a few months ago. Actually, I posted our conversation, as proof of my Asperger's, because that was something I had to try and prove too. Like when you're in this program, everything they try to paint like everything you say as they try to discredit everything you say. Even something as minuscule as saying you have Asperger's. Why would I lie about that? Who would lie about having Asperger's? That's not a badge of honor. It's almost like a disability, actually. Anyway, so in these two videos, where you see the thumbnail of me in the belly shirt, that's the picture from me in my early 20s. That's his part 1 and part 2, the Asperger's music connection. In those videos, I don't remember which one. I showed y'all the text conversation, just as documentation of between my older sister and I, where she was talking about my books, what happened to them, and the fact that all of them are lost. Basically, what happened is when I moved from Tallahassee, I ended up leaving a lot of my stuff up there. And so amongst that stuff was my books. And so I lost like 3 huge boxes of books. I had so many like a library of books. I could have had a library. I had so many freaking books. And so over the years, eventually what I did was I purchased a Kindle. And so when I learned about Kindle, that was just like, I don't know, that was like the greatest thing ever for me, for somebody that likes to read and that has trouble keeping track of items and moving all over the place and kind of nomadic. You know, I'm like a nomad in a way, like always constantly moving in a way, you could kind of say. That was like the best thing ever when I learned about Kindle. I was like, wait a minute, there's this app where you can have the same books I like to buy, and I can have it in this library, this virtual library. I was so excited when I learned about Kindle. Anyway, so I started purchasing books on Kindle a few years ago. Like I want to say 4 to 5 years ago was when I learned about Kindle and I started downloading books. So I have a whole library of books on my Kindle, like endless books. And that's also partially what I was using as evidence, because if you've listened to my story, you'll notice that one of the things they try to come for is my sexuality. They're constantly trying to paint me as this vapid, shallow, stuck up bitch that mistreats men and is a closeted lesbo, is basically what they're trying to paint me as. None of it makes sense. I've refuted all of it, right? But then also too, if I were really this raging closeted lesbo, why is it? Because they've been watching me like a hawk, right? Since for about 3 years now, right? I haven't deleted anything off my Kindle. They've been watching, right? Why is it that none of my books on Kindle are about lesbos? Excuse me, I don't want to use that terminology. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't want to disrespect any community. And they love, with the antagonization and the things that they do, they can cause you to react in such a nasty way that you end up offending a community and looking like a monster. They're very good at doing that. Let me just say this clear, and I've said this in several videos. I have no issues with the homosexual community. I've had many homosexual friends. Actually, a lot of my friends from the past were gay guys. I've even had lesbian friends before. I don't have an issue with anybody of any different sexuality. Let me just say that right now. I have no issue, right? My issue is them constantly trying to project something that's not true onto me. If I were gay, I would be very open about it. I don't have to hide that. I'm not an open person. I'm open now because of what's been happening and them like pushing and forcing their way into my private spaces and painting these false narratives. That's why I started creating these videos, because I realized I had to paint the true picture of what's going on, because they're painting all this false bullshit. I'm not an open person. I'm actually a very private person, but I'm an honest person and I'm a candid person and I don't beat around the bush. So with these videos, I know they can see that, right? I've provided more than enough evidence and I'm very openly said things that even caused problems for me. I'm that honest and open, things I didn't even have to talk about, right? So I'm not a liar and I'm not somebody that wouldn't say something if it were the case. If I were gay, I would have said so. I've had many opportunities. As a matter of fact, when I was working back in the day at one of the hotel resorts I worked at on this very island, I worked at two, I'm not going to say which one. My sister even came to work with me, and there was like a group of lesbians. I'm not trying to use any derogatory terms. So I'm going to say older lesbians, right? They were like in their 40s and they were there for some sort of, I think, one of their birthday or something like that. They came there for. And they were partying and I was working. I don't want to give too many details because I don't want to give away which resort I was working at. But my sister came to visit me and they were hitting on my sister and I. Hardcore hitting on us too, right? So if I wanted to be a lesbian, I could have been one. When I worked at the Walmart, the incident I talked about when I worked at Walmart in my early 20s, in my prior videos, if you haven't watched those videos, y'all got to check it out to know what I'm talking about. That first monitoring spirit incident where the asset protection man was stalking me from register to register. I worked with a lesbian. I almost said lesbo again. I'm trying not to use offensive terminology. I worked with a lesbian coworker who was coming on to me. I even actually told the guy that I was talking to virtually that the situation turned into a cyber stalking situation. I even told him about what was going on in that Walmart and the fact that there was a lesbian girl in there that liked me. So this is something that can be validated. I even told my sister. So this was something that can be validated. If I wanted to be gay, I could have been gay. I like men. I may not be the most mushy female. I may seem cold-hearted or whatever it is that they say, too strong, too independent, or whatever the case is, because I don't want to use the word clingy. That's not the word. I'm not an emotional female. I am, actually. It's just that I show my emotions differently. But I'm not your typical female. That doesn't mean I'm a lesbian. That doesn't mean I'm gay. If I wanted to be gay, I would be gay. First of all, not to go into too many details or get vulgar, but private parts for females actually nauseates me. I can't even imagine being sexually attracted to that. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not trying to be vulgar. But with the way that I am, I'm a funny person. Private parts for females, let me just say that, nauseates me. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say. I don't have to lie about that. I like men. And actually that's why my ex had me going in circles, because I like men. And when things actually did take off with us, or went too far or whatever. This is why I got hooked up on him. I like men. I don't like females. I like men. So that's, yeah, they're definitely painting a lie narrative with that. Anyway, so they like to come for my sexuality though. I went off on a tangent. Why was I saying that? I want to reel it back into what I was saying. They like to come for my sexuality. There was something I was saying. Oh my God, I forgot. I know I'm gonna listen back to this and be mad that I couldn't bring it back to the point. I mean, yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, but oh my God, I forgot. Whoa. Wow, I'm so mad that happened. Oh, I was telling y'all about sitting in the Wendy's line, right? And sitting there feeling awkward. And oh, I was telling y'all about okay, there we go. I brought it back. Woo, did it. Okay, so the romance books. So I'm just telling y'all about my Kindle, right? Let me go through my Kindle right now and show y'all the type of books that are in that Kindle, right? I don't have nothing to hide at this point because of what's happening to me. I'm being so open because they're already on top of me and in my business anyways. I'm painting these false narratives. So let's paint the real narrative. Let's go into my Kindle and take a look at what's in there. This is a book I started to read. By the way, I've read all of these books already, but I love reading books and I actually want to buy some new ones, but I'm broke right now. But that's also something that sucks too, being targeted. They're watching everything you're doing. They're reading your phone with you. They're listening to your thoughts. Like, reading these romance books feels so uncomfortable for me now. And it's something I thoroughly have always enjoyed doing. And when I want to, deprogram and I don't feel like them stuffing stimuli down my throat 24/7, and I want to just do something that's not connected to the internet, I want to come on my pool game. Not my pool game, excuse me. The pool game is compromised too. They hacked the pool game. I told y'all they play against me with avatars, with stimuli. So even that's compromised. I didn't mean to say the pool game. I meant to say it's the noise in the background, y'all. I have ADD. I'm doing a damn good job with all the distractions. I've gotten so good at it. They're helping. This program has really helped my ADD. I can't even tell y'all how much therapy this has been for my ADD. My focus is razor sharp now because of this program, and I'm able to multitask with my mind now because of this program. Anyway, what I meant to say was I like to read my books, and when I want to deconnect or deprogram and not let them, throw stimuli at me 24/7. I want to come in and read my books, but it feels awkward because these are romance books, a lot of them, and they have adult content in them, and it's awkward because they're making noises every time I get to certain parts of the book. They're making noises, or even if it's not, that type of scene in the book, if just trying to apply it to me, like talking just different things going on where she's talking about she didn't trust the guy. I'm hearing noise campaign, like just stuff like that, making me feel uncomfortable about even reading my books. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, but let me come out now and show y'all what's going on in this Kindle here. So this is my library, right? As you can see, it's a bunch of romance books. You see buff chocolate men on the cover, right? Okay, this is what I like. This is what you see, right? This is romance books. These are books from years ago that I purchased when I wasn't targeted. These are all old books. I don't have money now to buy anything, right? You can even see in the lineup, there's an interracial couple. I purchased that book in college. So that's to tell you that I don't have an issue with other races. My ex, I reiterate, James, was a Caucasian Colombian guy. And I was with him for 5 months. He lived with me in the second Airbnb where the weird shit was happening. I even dated a completely Caucasian guy, not even Colombian, like American Caucasian guy, when I was in Tallahassee. He was my weed man. Excuse me, I'm not trying to give too much TMIs, right? But I'm just like, I feel like I have to like validate everything because of all these lies and false narratives and my own stupid reactions to what was happening too. That my sister can verify that. He was our weed guy in Tallahassee when we went to community college. And I don't smoke weed. I haven't smoked it in years, y'all. I already explained to y'all why I don't smoke weed, right? I'm not anti-weed. I'm into holistic medicine, and I view weed as something that's medicinal, right? And it has healing properties, and that's not a subjective opinion. That can be validated. You can look that up, right? There's research out there about it, about the benefits of marijuana. I just don't promote smoking it recreationally. So like smoking it to get high and stuff, I don't promote that. I'm not talking against anybody that does it. If that's what you do, that's fine. That's a better form of, if you are going to use any substance, that's the best kind you could use, right? I don't promote it, but if you are going to use a substance, in my opinion, that's the best kind you can use, right? But I don't promote using it recreationally because I know there are some people out there like me that might have some sort of psychological adverse effect to it. And for me, it was causing some sort of psychosis for me in my early 20s. And I believe it's the way my brain is wired. Doing more research about ADD and Asperger's, I saw that typically people with those disorders can have adverse effects to certain drugs, especially psychedelics. So that's why I don't really promote using it recreationally, because I know there are some people out there that might be like me. So that's why I don't promote that. But I do promote using it, like consuming it in a tea, or, maybe making it, consuming it in a brownie or something like that, like edible, whatever. And actually, I would still even then recommend not using the form that has the THC, because you can get those same medicinal benefits without the high, the cannabidiol is really what's giving you those benefits. It's not necessarily the THC. So you don't even need to have the THC in there, but if you are looking for a high or whatever, then you can have that in there. Because actually, I heard the edibles are even more intense than smoking it, So I'm just saying, you don't need the THC. You can get those same medicinal benefits without the high. And so just me, because of my own personal experience, this is my own biased, subjective viewpoint. I just don't promote using it recreationally, because I know some people might have like this adverse effect. It caused like this psychosis like state for me in my early 20s. It was really scary, and constant anxiety and going to the hospital every week, and it was really bad. And I already suffer with anxiety anyways. So it caused like this generalized anxiety psychosis like thing for me in my early 20s. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I just had to explain that, y'all, because I know what, I told you I don't smoke, but I'm telling you I dated my weed man. But I did smoke in my early 20s. I did smoke for a stint in my early 20s, and I was having some major adverse effects. Anyway, so the weed guy that went to community college with my older sister and I, when we were in our early 20s, he had asked me for my number, and him and I went on a couple dates. It never manifested into a relationship like what happened with James and I, but I did date him. I was open to dating him, and he was Caucasian. He wasn't Colombian or anything, straight up Caucasian. I don't have an issue with people of different races. I just had an adverse reactive abuse response to what happened to me in Indiana. And if you check out this video, you can hear the details about those stupid ass things I said in my car in response to what happened to me in Indiana as it pertains to race, and in particularly Caucasian people. This video that says Part 1, Gaslighting and Programming of the Targeted Individual, I talk about that experience in detail. And I also kind of summarize my story in that video too, guys. Anyway, so the point is, you can see what's in here, right? If anything, there's evidence showing that I'm not, a prejudiced person. Not one thing about lesbian. And by the way, I've been reading these books since high school. And I remember one of my friends, she was into reading these books too, like me. I remember her coming to me and was showing me this one called, I don't want to say too much, I'm not trying to be inappropriate in these videos, but it had this weird lewd title. And she was telling me, girl, this is two girls in this one. She was telling me, trying to get me into that or whatever, telling me that it was girls in that book. And I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't into it. And I wasn't judging her either. Like I said, I've had homosexual friends in the past. I wasn't judging her, but I was not into it. I've even had someone in my close circle. I'm not trying to give too many details. I'm just trying to explain to you how gay I am not, right? I've even had someone in my close circle tell me that she's experimented with, girl on girl, those kind of graphic videos. And I'm like, oh yeah. I said, okay. And she's trying to get me into that too. I'm like, no, not, because it's nauseating to me. I can't really explain to you how nauseating it is to me. I don't want to go into further details. I like men. So anyways, you can see the type of books that I have. It's all men and women. This is what's in here. Not one thing about, because there are a lot of books like this, just so you know, that caters to the homosexual community. Just so you know, those books are out there, many of them. I don't have not one in here. Okay? What you see in here are men, big, hulky, buff men. Like I told you, I like athletic men. You don't have to be buff. I don't need a man that's super buff and this, and I'm not vain. But I'm just saying I do like that aesthetic. And a lot of these books do have that on the cover. But this is what you see in here. Or you see teaching online books, right? One-on-one teaching online writing books from when I was teaching. That's the type of books you see in here. Okay? Or a JavaScript book. Or the Tao theory. Right? You don't see anything about homosexuality in this Kindle. Okay? Nothing. One school of law book when I was looking into law school. That's what I have in here. Anyways, so back to what I was saying, guys. So finishing telling y'all what happened, because I don't want this video to be too long. I'm not trying to give you a play-by-play of what happened today. It's not that serious. I really want to get to the moment that I want to document. But I'm just trying to tell you how from the very start of me leaving this freaking house, the programming had already started, and the alerting me of the fact that, remember, we're watching you. Like, it's this constant thing. Even if I leave and it's not one of those days where they're like super rev campaigning, like super loud. And because some days when I leave, I don't know what triggers it. Like I said, I don't know if it's a frequency. I don't know if it's because I made a certain video that rubbed them the wrong way. I don't know if my legs were looking nice that day. I don't know what causes it. But some days I be leaving out and they're doing extra, right? And then some days it's not so bad. It's mellow and I'm like, cool, okay, this is a good day. Today kind of felt like that. Today kind of felt like, okay, cool, today's a good day. It wasn't too bad today. But they were still doing stuff. I was still being sent songs on the radio. Thank God I was in control of the radio today. But they were sending songs on the radio too, programming me. And I just thought it was funny, because the songs they sent, I liked them. Even though it had stimuli, I didn't even turn it off. I was turning it up and enjoying the songs until this one song that I'm going to talk about in a minute, right? So anyways, so I was sitting outside of the Wendy's and I'm trying to read the book. And as soon as I get to this part, let me show y'all where I was at so I can show y'all how uncomfortable it is to just live everyday life while you're being targeted and stared at. It's a very inhumane program. It's inhumane. It goes against human rights. It's a major violation of human rights. And again, it's unethical. But let me show y'all. I was reading one of my Kindle books. Which one was I reading? The one that I was in actually just now, before I came out to show y'all my library. So you can see how I'm rereading a book. I read this book already, right? But I'm at the part of the book where she's, talking about I'm just going to read a small part of the scene for you so you can understand. First, she was talking about not trusting men. I'm not going to go back to that part, and because she's having this moment where she's coming in contact with the dude that she's going to have the romance with in the book. This is their first meeting in a cabin, right? And she was in the cabin. Basically, the dude's cousin owns a cabin. He and the guy own a cabin together. So they're cousins and they own a cabin out in the woods. She has her own personal life things going on. And she's friends with the cousin. The cousin's married, so there's nothing romantic going on with them. But she's friends with the cousin. I'm just trying to give y'all a little walkthrough of what's going on so you could understand the scene, right? So she's friends with the cousin who's married. They don't have anything romantic going on. And he knows that she's going through some personal turmoil in her life. So he tells her about this cabin he has out in the woods, right? That he shares with his cousin. And so he tells her that she can stay there for a little bit to get some R&R, some rest and relaxation, and clear her mind. So this is why she's out there in the cabin by herself. And the cousin, the cousin that owns the cabin with the cousin that she knows, decides to go out there for R&R too, because apparently his mom is trying to get him married off. He's in his early 30s. He's like 34 or something like that. And she's trying to marry off all her kids, and it's his turn. And she feels like he's 34, and she feels like he needs to be married, right? So he was getting annoyed with the mom or whatever because she's constantly like trying to throw a woman in his face and set him up on all these little blind dates and whatever, like setting up these little traps to get him caught up with these females. So he goes out to the cabin too to kind of get some rest and relaxation and clear his mind. And so when he goes out there, she's already out there and he doesn't know that she's out there. The cousin didn't alert him that, somebody's staying in our cabin, because the cousin didn't expect him to go out there this weekend. So he goes out to the cabin, and when he gets in there, she, she's obviously some badass chick, right? She had a gun under her pillow, and she meets, he when he gets through the door, he's confronted with the barrel of a gun, right? And so that's what the scene was playing out to be. So eventually they get past that moment. He's able to verify that he does own the cabin as well, right? And they get past that moment, right? And so once the gun is down and everything and they start to kind of converse a little bit, she decides she don't want to stay in the cabin because she realized he's there, right? So she's trying to, get dressed and stuff. She was wearing I guess some sort of skimpy nightgown or whatever she was wearing. She was in the cabin by herself. She didn't know this man was coming there. And she goes to throw on some clothes and try to leave up out of there. And so basically he's telling her it's not safe. It's like a steep hill. This cabin is way off in the boondocks apparently. And so it's like this steep hill. And he's telling her, don't try to drive down at night. I understand that you don't want to stay here with me. I've never forced myself on a woman before. Relax, slow your boots, slow your roll. That's basically what he's telling her. She's acting like he's going to do something or whatever. So he's telling her, relax, you can trust me. I'm so-and-so's cousin, the person that she knows. Relax, that kind of way. And so she goes in her room now and she's just ruminating on the interaction with him. And she's thinking about the fact that, first of all, she doesn't understand, like, apparently she's attractive or whatever, and she's used to men falling over her or whatever. She didn't understand why it seemed like he wasn't checking her out. Like, he didn't seem very interested in her. He just was more so like straight to the point in business, and she didn't see any lust in his eyes. And so in that scene, this is the scene I was reading while I was sitting outside the windows. First of all, I read the scene where she was talking about having trust issues. I heard them start to rev up in the road. So I'm like, okay, oh God. I'm like, they're reading the book with me. I know they're reading it with me. And I know they can hear my thoughts. I'm reading the book. They're hearing me read the book. It's literally like story time. Like, I'm reading the book to all my gang stalkers. It's so weird and awkward. I can't even just read my books. Anyway, so I get to the part now where she's talking about, not understanding. I'm going to read it to you. Why he wasn't checking her out. I'm gonna read it to you. And when I read that part, the big fake fly drone flies in my face, and I hear them rev in the road. Where she's talking about the fact that she didn't understand why he didn't want her. I'm like, what is the problem? Why do they keep like trying to, first of all, make everything about me, and second of all, trying to make it like I'm this vapid, like, vampire female, that like man eater female? Like, what is going on with them, right? So, anyways, so this was the part here. She said, good night, and I meant what I said about you being safe. This is like them conversing right before she went in her room. So, good night, and I meant what I said about you being safe, he said, his deep voice as steady and direct as his gaze. Catherine simply stared at him. 15 minutes ago, he had wanted to separate her head from her shoulder. She's talking about when she had the gun on him. Now he was trying to reassure her, basically trying to reassure her that being in the cabin with him for the night would be okay. Oddly, it wasn't necessary. She trusted him. This was the trust part. This part here where they started to rev up, right? This was the first thing to start to rev up for it. Mind you, I'm sitting in the line for Wendy's. I know I'm being stared at. They're reading the book with me. They're hearing my thoughts as I'm reading the book. So then she said, oddly, it wasn't necessary. She trusted him because she trusted Daniel Falcon. That's the cousin that she knew that let her stay in the cabin. A man whose integrity was impeccable, and he hadn't been able to praise his cousin, Luke Grayson, who's the guy that's in there with her, enough. To Daniel's way of thinking, Luke was an honorable man. Tonight he had proved Daniel to be right. Although she didn't like to think about it, Luke had seen her in her nightgown and could not have cared less. Even after the danger she presented was over, his black eyes had held anger, not lust. A lifetime ago, she might have idly wondered why he wasn't interested. Now she was thankful that he wasn't. And when I read that part, the big fly drone, I actually caught it. It's in my bag because I'm like, what is the problem? They're acting like I think every man wants me. I never said that. I'm gonna call that's my sister. I'm gonna have to call her back. I'm gonna call her back, right? Because I'm making this video, so I'll give her a call back. So anyways, when I read that part, I was just like, the big fly drone, right? The fly drone flies in my face, and then I'm hearing them revving in the road. And so I'm like, they're acting like I'm this vapid, man eating female that thinks every man in the vicinity wants her. I've never made it seem like that. I never made it like that at all. They're making it like that. Obviously, that's how they feel. So why are they making everything about me and trying to make it seem, this kind of narrative that they're trying to paint? They're making it like that. I didn't make it like that. I'm not out here saying every dude wants me. I'm not acting like that. It's crazy and weird what they're doing. Anyway, so that was the start of the weirdness, though, because like I said, even though when I went out there, it wasn't that bad, because sometimes when I leave the house and I get out there off rip, it's this kind of energy where I'm like, oh boy, it's going to be one of those days. It wasn't. It was actually a nice slow paced day. I was on the road kind of acting awkward before I even got to the Wendy's. Guys, let me pause the video and text my sister real quick. I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, I'm actually kind of glad that little interruption happened, because that actually brought me back to focus, because I'm focusing on a part that this video is not about, and the video's going to be way too long, again, as usual. Let me fast forward past this part, guys, because this is really not what I just wanted you to understand, though. It's not irrelevant. It's just that it's not that I'm giving more detail. It's just like I wanted to give that detail so you can understand how invasive this thing is and how you're constantly being reminded that they're a part of your world. Like, not even just like regularly a part of your world, like completely intimately a part of your every day, everything. They're a part of everything. Even you sitting trying to comfortably privately read a book, they're reading the book with you. It's like story time. When you're reading a book, you're reading to all of them, and they're actually interacting with you too. It's not like they're sitting quietly listening to you read the book. They're interacting with you as you're reading the book and trying to like make noises for certain parts or fly the fly drone in your face. And if you want to know about that technology, you got to check out my prior videos, guys. Check out that video that I referenced at the beginning, evidence of mind control technology. And actually in the description box, I will include a link to that technology I'm talking about. Again, not going to talk about it too much in this video, but I've talked about it in prior videos if you haven't seen those videos yet. this is how they surveil you 24/7. They're using insect drones. So drones that look like real insects, because they are real insects, that they're microchipping at the pupa stage of the insect's development. And these are real insects that they're using to surveil you 24/7. And these insects have cameras, microphones, syringes to inject you with the RFID chip, etc. I'll put links to that technology. There's a military video I have about that technology, and then there's a link to an article that I have about that technology. I even have a link to this news special that was posted years ago about that technology. So I'll put the links to those um, sources in the description box in the comment section. But I don't want to talk about that too much now. But when I say the fly drone, that's what I'm talking about. These little flying cameras that look like insects that they use to surveil you. They flew a fly one in my face when I read the thing about when I read that part about the guy not wanting her and she not understanding why he didn't want her. I'm just like, what is going on? They're acting like I'm this freaking pig-headed, narcissistic, vapid, man-eating female. Like, it's weird. What is it? Am I gay or am I like a man-eating female? What is it? Like, because all of these narratives don't work. They're kind of contradicting themselves at a certain point. You got to make up your mind about which one you're going with. But anyway, so it's just trying to paint all these false, horrible narratives that aren't true, that are not true. Anyway, so I'm staying on this too long though. So that was the start of it. So you can just understand how invasive this thing is, where you're constantly being reminded that you're being stared at. You're constantly being reminded that they can hear your thoughts, and then constantly stimuli being stuffed down your throat too. So naturally shit starts popping in your head. That's just how it works. And then also too, they have the technology to push stuff in your head. So you never know if they're pushing shit in your head or if it's just the programming, similar to how a Coca-Cola ad works, where they put the Coke on the screen while you're watching a movie, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, I want a Coke, and you don't even realize you just got programmed. That's what they're doing to you, constantly 24/7 though, with the stimuli that they're pushing down your throat. So this is why shit can just pop in your head. And also too, when they play certain songs in the radio to target you, you know what they're doing and you know what they're insinuating. So naturally that stimuli will pop in your head, and then they'll try to run with it and create a narrative. That's what I'm really trying to get at with what I'm saying. I kind of stuck on this one thing. I did want to mention that though, so you can understand how invasive what they're doing is. But I didn't mean to sit there so long and, given this is just how I am when I'm explaining stuff, because I really want it to be understood. And it's like, maybe it's the teacher in me or whatever. I'm used to like having to break things down and really make sure you're understanding what I'm saying. And it's to the point where I might stay on something too long. And this is why my videos end up being so freaking long, because I over explain things, just trying to make sure that it's clear. Anyway, so long story short, I got off the Wendy's line and I'm already feeling like this kind of way, like, okay, being stared at, whatever. They didn't have the breakfast, so I was able to get off the line and leave. So I'm on the road now again, still very, very aware of the fact, cognizant and aware of the fact that I'm being stared at, and feeling this awkward way. My mouth starts to twitch sometimes. My hands, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's not like when you're sitting in the car and you're not being watched and you're just relaxed and you're driving and you move naturally. It's not the same, especially with my targeting and some of the things that they tried to make stimuli and make me uncomfortable about. I'm constantly like feeling like I'm on eggshells, like I don't know what to do with my hands, like my mouth is gonna twitch, just weird, freaky shit, right? So anyways, so the day after that though wasn't too bad. I didn't have too much to do today, y'all. I just went out to get water and I went to the food stamp office to turn in my application. That's all I went out there to do. And then once I took care of that, I went to a fast food restaurant to get food for someone in my close circle and I. And so as I'm driving up on the highway, when I was driving down, I was listening to music. They're stuffing stimuli down my throat. They're putting songs on about angels. If you listen to my prior videos, you'll know why that's stimuli. They're putting songs about Delilah, like trying to make it like, like I'm like Delilah of all people. Like, this is why I said they're trying to make it like I'm this monstrous, vapid female. Like Delilah of all people. Why are you putting on about Delilah? You know how horrible Delilah was? Like, she took Samson's strength and she was like this freaking horrible female. This is the type of stuff they're trying to perpetuate and paint me as this like monster female in any way that they can. Anyway, so they played the song about Delilah and I'm just laughing. I was like, okay, I like this song. It sounds good. I'm laughing because the song actually did sound good. I don't really care about the stupid ass message. The angel song that they put on sounded good. I didn't care about the message. Other than that though, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like what it usually is when I go out there, like they really start playing songs with stimuli and really trying to come for me. They weren't doing it too much today, aside from those two songs. And then one other song where they mentioned the tight stimuli once. They weren't doing it, I think, because after I told the story about the tight thing, I think they felt bad about it and they stopped doing that, pushing that. But they did have one song with that. So naturally, that's pushing in my head because I know what these things are about, right? And I know what they're insinuating with these songs. I know what narrative they're trying to push. Even though I know I've refuted and I know they're doing it to be spiteful, it's still in my brain. It's still programming. But it didn't make anything pop in my head. I was good, right? So even though they played those songs, I turned it up and I was having a good time. The school bus cut in front of me on the highway. I drove right by it, had a good time. I didn't have a problem. Before, when I was in Florida, I was reacting to even school buses. This is how traumatized I was. I cut in front of the school bus, not cut in like I was driving reckless or anything like that. But I just drove in front of the school bus. It was nothing. I was having a good time on the highway, no problem, even though the stimuli is somewhere lingering in the back of my mind, right? I'm not saying the school bus cut in front of me for that reason, but I am aware of the fact that they use school buses in this program as well. So that could have been a coincidence, but you never know. And that's why it's such an effective program, because some of the things that they use, you might really see, you might really hear. So you don't know if they're using it as stimuli or not. Anyway, so I get past the school bus. I'm good to go still, despite having had the angel songs, stuff into my head, that programming. Got past the school bus. I'm still good to go. Nothing pushing in my head. I'm on the highway. I'm going good. Then they put on, I believe it was Bruno Mars. I don't want to say the wrong song. I believe it was Bruno Mars that was singing. And he was talking about, what was the lyrics to the song? I'm trying to remember now. Something about holding your pretty little hand, as long as I'm holding your pretty little hand, something, something, something. And so as he says little hand, I know what they're trying to insinuate. Again, I know what they're doing when they play certain songs. You know what they're insinuating with the songs that they're playing to program you. So automatically, that stimuli is going to pop into your head because you know what they're insinuating. It didn't happen with the Angel song. It didn't happen with the Delilah song because I know I know what they're insinuating with that song. It didn't happen with none of those things. But in this moment, it did start to happen. That name started to pop in my head, but I pushed it out before it could pop in my head. Literally, the whole name didn't pop in my head. It started popping in my head, the narrative that goes along with little, what I've talked about in my prior stories. Please check out my commentating over a clip from my full story video. But that name did start to pop in my head because I knew what they were insinuating, right? And so I pushed it out. And immediately they start, it's like the frequency starts going or whatever it is. They start all acting, hyping, it's like it's like a victory for them whenever these moments happen. It's terrible. It's like literally you're sitting here with your life on display and everybody around you wants to see you lose. They want to see you lose bad. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever. It's creepy, but that's what's going on. So anyway, that starts happening. I push it out immediately. And then as I push it out, another name pops in. Another stimuli that I'm not going to say the name, but somebody I've talked about in my stories as well, a guy. So I'm just like, why is that popping in my head? It's like that name and then that name. I'm like, did they do that? I'm like, are they pushing that in my head? Because they can do that with their technology to embarrass you. And I was having a good day today. So I don't know if they pushed that in my head or if it was literally just programming. But literally those two names started to push in my head and I was successfully able to cut both of them out. But they did start to push in my head. And so immediately as that happened, it was like a victory for the gang stalkers. They start revving and doing all this weird, the creepy synchronic stuff they do. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, they could not wait for a moment. I'm like, this is so weird and creepy. And this is why you're constantly on eggshells when you're in this program. You're constantly feeling like you have to defend yourself. Even when you know you've refuted the bullshit, you still have to constantly defend yourself because you know what they're doing. And like, they're waiting. It's almost like, let me give an example. Back in the day when they had those gladiator fights, and you had a coliseum full of people and they're supporting whoever they're supporting. And, sometimes they might be supporting, let's say this one person, this one fighter, and you're this one fighter that nobody's supporting. That's kind of an analogy I can use. It's not like I'm fighting against anyone. It's like this invisible enemy, or you could say I'm fighting against everyone. I don't want to fight. They're fighting me. But it's almost like that, like this, like I'm in an arena and it's a coliseum full of people watching me every day, trying to fight and survive, and they want me to lose bad. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm fighting against this gladiator that has a bunch of weaponry and I have nothing but my bare hands. That's what this is equivalent to. So they want to see me lose bad and I'm fighting against somebody in an unfair fight. That's what this feels like. That's the analogy I can think of to describe this to you. But what I have over that gladiator that has all of that weaponry is a very intelligent mind. And so somehow I keep slipping and surviving and surviving and surviving. That's the best way I can explain this thing. That's the best analogy I can use to explain this thing. It's crazy. But anyways, that's all I want to document, guys. I just wanted to talk about what's going on. I just wanted to explain to you what happens every time I leave the house. Even when it's a good day, I'm still always on eggshells. And I know that they're always constantly watching and waiting for something to happen. Not good, right? And they're always constantly reminding me that they're in my little personal spaces and in my little intimate moments, even in my romance book with me. Look, I already said I'm gonna read my book. This is why you all saw it open with the bookmark. I don't care about what scene I'm reading. If you don't want to hear it or see it, close your eyes and close your ears. I've always read these books. And I refuse to sit here and let them program me 24/7 via the internet, right? So there's going to be moments where I shut down and I want something to do. I don't want to be stared at. I enjoy reading my books. I always have. I said I'm going to read my books and I don't care who's listening and I don't care what noises they make in the background. So I already said that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be reading my books like I normally do. But I just want y'all to understand that even in those little intimate moments, they're there with me. It's like story time. I'm the storyteller of the island. Like I didn't agree to this. I didn't agree to have my life on display. I didn't agree to read stories to people. I'm trying to read the book to myself. I'm trying to mind my business is what I'm trying to do. So anyways, that's what's going on, guys. I just want to document that so you can understand. Again, I had one of those moments that they tried to run with. And again, it's programming. Again, it's being constantly reminded that you're being watched and that they're a part of your little intimate, spaces and your little intimate life moments. And this is what causes it. And then they try to run with certain stuff, as if they don't know what's causing certain things to pop in your head. It's like major gaslighting and psychological warfare. And then mind you, after that moment happened, right, with the song, right, and the little glitch happened with the two names that tried to pop in my head, I pulled over to the side of the road to put my hair in a bun because my hair was literally blowing out. I had let it down today. I have braids and I had let it down today. So I was putting it in the bun and another song comes on. And in the song, I don't remember what song it was or what was being said, but I wasn't acting awkward or anything. I didn't have a reaction at all. Nothing popped in my head. But in this, oh, yes, the song for Shenshi. She's a Jamaican artist called Run, Run, Run. That's actually my song, by the way. I was playing that like crazy in Indiana because I didn't understand why I had to run, run, run. I didn't understand why I was on the run. Like, why am I running? But I had come across that song, and so it's on my playlist. And so they start playing Run, 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 trying to be funny because of the moment that happened in the car, right? And so she's talking about, you make a good girl wanna run, run, run to protect my love. That's the song, just trying to make fun, right? And then in a part of it too, she mentioned burning. And so when she mentioned that while I'm fixing my hair, the big fly flies in my face. I'm like, I almost cuss, I'm like, biatch, you were waiting for a moment so you could fly in my face and push a narrative. And I'm trying not to be a bad person. I'm trying not to, because that's what they paint you as when you're reacting to abuse. It's called reactive abuse, and you're acting in kind to what they're doing to you. Then they're gonna paint your reaction like you're a bad person when you're reacting to what they're doing. But me, I've really learned the program, and I've really gotten some good control over myself because I'm actually somebody that's always been in control of their emotions. And this program, it's so effective. It's managed to get me out of character. Anybody that truly knows me, like my siblings and stuff, they can tell you how miraculous that is because it's so hard to get anything out of me, especially emotion. Not to say I'm not an emotional person. I do feel emotions. I just display them differently. But this program's so effective, they've gotten reactions out of me. My sisters, both of them, on separate occasions in the past when we've had arguments, they're always putting their hands on me because I'm not reactive. Like when we're arguing and stuff, they're getting more bothered about the argument than me. And I have the ability to say what I say and then just shut them off. Like I have the ability to say whatever it is that I say in the argument, know that I'm right about what I'm saying, or at least believe that I'm right about what I'm saying, and not give a shit about anything else they have to say. And they're bothered and they're wanting to get the last word in, and they're wondering why the words aren't hitting. And so then they hit me. They put their hands on me. Both of my sisters have been like that in the past, where they get so annoyed with my nonchalant attitude that they hit me. And this program has managed to break past that and actually get reactions out of me to where I actually care and I'm giving you a reaction. And the only reason that's happening, let me let you know right now, is because of the invasion of my privacy. That's where you get a reaction out of an introvert. You want to get a reaction out of an introvert? Invade their space. That's what they're doing. If they weren't doing that, I keep saying this, I wouldn't give a shit what they thought. I don't care about your false narratives or what false perception you have. That's your problem. I don't care. My problem is the fact that they're using that to do this covert harassment. That's what my problem is. The fact that I'm being watched 24/7. The fact that I'm going to take a shit or a piss and the camera's staring at my private parts. The fact that I'm bathing and I'm hearing noise campaign. That's what my problem is. The fact that I'm trying to read a romance novel and I'm hearing noise campaign while I'm trying to read the book. Or I'm having a fly in my face while I'm trying to read the book. That's why I care. Because honestly, if this wasn't happening and they were just painting this false narrative and this rumor was swirling around, or rumors, I should say, because it's many at this point, I wouldn't give a shit. pun intended, I wouldn't care. But it's the fact that they're invading my privacy. That's why I care. And that's why I'm, constantly fighting and on this soapbox. That's what it's about. Anyway, so that's all this is, guys. I'm so tired of making these damn videos about the damn gang stalking and letting them drain my energy, man. But it's just like documentation again to protect my honor and to protect myself. So that's what this video is about. I didn't even mean to go into so many details about the other stuff, but that happens so you can understand how invasive the program is. This is why I went into so many details about the little book scene that happened outside of Wendy's, because I want you to understand how invasive the program is. Anyways, I'm gonna go work out now, guys. I was icing my knees. I bought some food here. I'm ready to eat. I had a good breakfast. I'm gonna get my workout done, and then I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna relax, and I'm probably gonna read my book or whatever. I just wanted to document. So I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Again, look out for that workout video. Hopefully for real this time. That will be the next video that I post. Again, I'm just, I don't have access to a camera, at least not a computer camera. But I'm thinking I'm going to just use a cell phone, maybe someone in my close circle, let them hold the camera. And I just put on a short pants and a sports bra and just let you see what my progress is right now. And then come back a few months later if the Most High spares my life, and then show you what my progress is then. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.